This is the Education Business Podcast for consultants and business owners providing services in schools. I'm Claire Riley, and I'll be sharing how to start, grow, and scale your education business. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Education Business Podcast. Today we're going to talk about growing an audience. So I would say that most people who start a business in education are very concerned about how they are going to market their product or service. And if you haven't got that fixed, then it's very difficult to move forward with all of the other things that you should do as a business owner. You kind of need people to believe in what you're doing and buy into it. And one of the ways to do this is to make sure that you have an audience to sell to. But how do you do that in the education business space? Now, I'm not really talking about how you grow an audience of schools. These ideas that I'm going to share today, I've got 6 ideas that you can ponder and take away. They are aimed at parents, teachers, tutors. They are not aimed at schools because I believe the best way to sell to a school is to sell first to the teacher, the person who you are solving the problem for. And so I don't teach a cold calling way to get into schools. I teach creating something that teachers really love that they will sell to the school for you for free, which is amazing. So let's dive in. Before I go through each of these 6 ways to grow your audience in your education business, I think a few things just need to be ironed out. We need to have this basic understanding. And I just want to make sure that everybody gets this. When we say audience, we're not just talking about a social media following. So I'm not talking about your Instagram page alone or your Facebook page. I'm not talking about your Facebook group and how many members it's got. I'm not talking about your email list. And I'm not just talking about your website visitors. Your audience is all of those things. And yes, some people might show up in different places. And part of the point of this is to get people from one place to another place. For example, they might be in your Facebook group and you might want to get them on your email list because email lists are really important because we own those things. We own the emails. We can send an email and we can get it into somebody's inbox. We don't know what's going to happen in Facebook. We might get put in Facebook jail. We might have our account deleted on Instagram. So it is a really good idea to try and make sure that as you're growing your audience, you're not just focusing on the people visiting your website. You are thinking about getting them onto your email list as well. But all of those things are your audience. And so here are some ways that you can grow your education business audience more, because the bigger audience that we have, the more likely we're going to make more sales if we've got the right messaging. Sometimes we just need to get our name out there, and this is what this is about, really. You know, I remember those days when nobody knew who Classroom Secrets was. And even now, you know, I do pinch myself when I will say to somebody, oh, I've got this company, it's called Classroom Secrets. And they'll say, oh yeah, I know Classroom Secrets. And I'm like, oh, how weird. This is amazing. And then I think, yeah, I am happy with the name because when you start a business and you name it, you don't know really what that means and what it will be like to have other people work for a company that's called that name and have other people talk about this name that you created. So anyway, a little bit of an offshoot. Let's go through these different ways then. So the first way that you can grow your audience is to create your own Facebook group. I have a lot of Facebook groups. I've got a Year 1 Teachers Facebook group, Year 2 Teachers, all of those things. Then we've got Classroom Secrets Facebook groups. And it's about growing a community of people who have common ideas to you or the kind of ideal client. And the amount of resource companies that try and sell things in my groups, maybe this is just going to be a bit of a rant. Stop doing it. Stop doing it. Oh my word. I have to put post approval on because there's that many. Find your people by creating your own groups. You can attract your own people based on what your values are as a resource company. It might not be that you're a resource company. Maybe you're a CPD company. Maybe you sell books to schools. but you can still have a Facebook group around what it is you actually do and get people in there and curate that group. Yes, go in other people's groups and be helpful, but I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about posts that are helpful. I'm talking about blatant selling. Just, hey, here's this resource I created in somebody else's group. That's not okay. That's just blatant selling. So create your own Facebook group. Curate those people. Put the effort in. Build a community that's based around your business, not somebody else's business that then you're trying to muscle in on. That's just completely the wrong mindset. The mindset should be that you are taking people on a journey, not that you're just going to drop in and save the day, because nobody really cares about that. They care about being on a journey with you. So that's the first thing, with a little bit of a rant. Second one, have a free option. So Classroom Secrets, we have a free tier. So you can get a lot of resources for free. Generally, they're taster resources. So it might be the first lesson in a unit block. We found that to be a good option for us. And really, that free tier is acting like a lead magnet, which is also called a freebie sometimes, or it's called an opt-in. And what we're trying to do there is get them to get on our emailing list so that then we can email them and we can say, hey, did you like that free resource that you downloaded? Do you like the free resources that we've got? You can get loads more if you subscribe and you become a paying member. And we actively do that. If you don't have a free option, particularly if you say you're a resource website, then you're missing out on building that audience and capturing those email addresses likely if you don't have the free option, because you're not able to have a good reason to get the email address. So if you have the capability, have a free tier. The third thing we can do is create a lead magnet. So maybe you don't have the option to have a free tier, because technically you could just say our free tier has lots of different lead magnets in it. But you could create a lead magnet so that you can bring those people into your email. So for example, if you were a consultant, then you might have a lead magnet that would appeal to that person in school who you would normally do the selling to. Sometimes it would be the head teacher. It might be somebody who's responsible for that subject area, something that would help them to get their email address so that you can then frequently email them and then they're in your audience and could potentially buy from you in the future. The fourth thing is that you can ask for referrals. So referrals don't just have to be for sales. You don't have to just do refer a friend for an actual sale. You could ask for your audience to refer other people into your Facebook group who you think would find it useful. You can ask people to share your freebie landing page so that other head teachers could also get your free resource and then you would get their email address. This is really a good way to get more teachers and parents, because parents talk to other parents about how life is now. If you're a parent, you know this. So you ask your parents for advice, but you don't always take it because they didn't parent at the time you're parenting. So I was 31 when I had my first child. My mum was 20 when she had me. So there was a massive difference, also a 30-year gap. Parenting now is not the same as parenting was then. So we kind of always want to find out what our friends are doing. As much as we can ask our parents, we want to find out what our friends are doing. We'll ask them for advice. I'll ask my parent friends. Parent friends will ask me, what are you doing about so-and-so? How are you going about this? And it's the same for teachers, isn't it? Teachers talk, especially teachers in the same school. They will recommend things. So if you have a really good freebie, you can ask for referrals on that. Or if you've got a really engaged Facebook group, ask for referrals on that. And that will help you grow your audience of the right people who could potentially buy from you, if not tomorrow, the day after, or the week after, or even next year. Doesn't really matter, does it? You just want to get them into your world. You want to grow your brand and grow how much you're known in the education space, to be honest. The fifth idea that I've got for you is to try a social media channel that you haven't tried before. Try a new one. So, for example, that could be TikTok. You might have LinkedIn, you might have Facebook, you might have Instagram, but you don't have TikTok. Or maybe you've never had a LinkedIn account, or maybe you think that there's definitely room in Pinterest. Maybe you do lots of visual things and that could be a thing. But try a new social media platform, but only when you've got capacity. And it might be that you do something different on that social media platform, or it might be that you repurpose what you've already got and see if that lands. You can try it out. The only thing I would definitely just caution on is only take this on if you have the time. So I was talking to someone the other day and they were saying, well, I've got my Instagram and I've got my Facebook, but I know that I should be on Pinterest and I know that I should be on TikTok and I know I should be on Twitter. And I was like, I am not on all of those. I am not on all of those because I only have bandwidth for so much. And there will be a time where Education Business Club is in a place where I have people come into my world from an employee perspective, and perhaps then I'm going to branch out into those channels, but we can only take on so much. So only do that if you feel really confident and really locked down with your other channels and you don't feel like this is going to be a resentment for taking on more. And the final thing you can do to grow your audience, and this may not be something that you realize, but improve your SEO on your website. So if you're doing it properly and you're tracking your website visits, then they can become part of your audience. So when somebody visits your website, if you're tracking them with a pixel, you can then remarket to them when they go to Facebook or maybe a different platform. But if you don't have it set up properly, then they're not going to become part of your audience. But if you were to do a Facebook ad, for example, then all the leads that were on your tracking pixel, it would be called your audience. You would make your audience from that. And one of the best things I did at Classroom Secrets when we started getting traction was to do an SEO course and really look at the resources that we felt were hitting the mark in terms of what teachers really needed at that time, and make sure that I could SEO them in the best possible way for an education business, because it is a bit different, especially when you're a resource site and you've got thousands and thousands of resources. One of the rules is don't be the same as another page, but you kind of have to ignore that rule when you've got thousands and thousands of pages, obviously one for each resource. But I really invested time into that, and I went through all the resources and I came up with a system so that people could help me rename those resources and change the SEO and make it really SEO friendly. And then what would happen is people would go onto Google just as you do and they would type in what they needed, and then we would come up on that first page. So you absolutely have the capacity to do that. You don't have to have a resource website. Just find a way on your website to make sure that you can optimize for the kind of questions that a teacher or a parent or a tutor would have that you can answer, that your business can help with. So for example, to go back to the idea of having a consultancy, maybe you're an outdoors specialist. Well, maybe one of the questions is, how can I set up an outdoor provision in my school? If you can rank based on that question on your SEO, it might be adding blogs or something like that, then you're going to bring those people into your world. You might not know their name at this point, but they are going to be in your audience, and that's when they might find your newsletter on the website, or they might find your Facebook group because they see the company name, and then maybe you've got a link to your Facebook group on your website. There are different ways. So even doing things on your website can help you grow your audience. And why do we want to grow our audience? Because we want more possible people to sell our product and service to. So just a quick recap then, the things that you're going to try out, and you're not necessarily going to try out all of them. Maybe you're going to pick one thing that you're going to try in March. And then maybe you'll come back and listen to this episode and you'll pick another thing that you're going to try in April. Number 1, create your own Facebook group. 2, have a free option, if possible, as part of your service. 3, alternatively, create a lead magnet or have a lead magnet as well. 4, ask your current audience to refer other people to you. 5, try a new social media channel. And 6, improve the SEO on your website. If this resonated with you and you're going to try something, let me know. I'm on Instagram at Education Business Club. I would love to know what you try. I want to know if you've got results from it as well. I'm going to be doing some of these things for Education Business Club this week because I'm really focused on building Education Business Club. In fact, it's just come to me this. I didn't actually plan this in when I wrote my notes. But if you know somebody who would benefit from this podcast, then please refer it to them. Please refer it to them because I want to reach as many teacher business owners or education business owners as possible because I just believe we can do better together. I want to help people build a bigger, better business that they get to a point where they think, gosh, I'm really proud of this thing that I've built. It's making an impact in education, and it's also an asset that is going to change things for my family in the long term. So yeah, I'm using my own advice here. That is number 4. I'm asking for a referral. Please share my podcast with somebody else who is going to find it useful because I want to grow my audience too, and I want to wish you lots of luck in growing your audience this week. Thank you for listening to the Education Business Podcast. To get more information to grow your business, sign up at educationbusinessclub.co.uk.